Yo, in this tutorial I'm going to break down 3 effect ideas inside of After Effects without any paid plugins, so basically anyone is going to be able to follow along with this. And these effects are also some of my favorite effects at the moment, so it's going to be a lot of sauce. So let's get right into it. So I'm in After Effects and I got these Yeet clips right here. So for the first clip right here, I'm gonna break down the first effect, which will be this kind of jitter frames effect. And the only thing we need for this effect is a time warp. And then for the time warp, I'll be setting the speed to 100. And then make sure that you go a couple frames into your clip, like half a second, right around there. And then we just need to keyframe the speed. And then we'll go in 1 frame, and then we turn down the speed to -500. This will make it like go back, so we'll have this kind of jitter look. And then we go in 1 frame after that, and then we turn up the speed to +500. And then we go in 1 frame after that, and then we can turn it up to 100 once again. And just after doing that, we'll have this really tiny jitter going on. And that's basically the look that we're going for. So now we'll just redo the same thing. So for the next frame right here, we'll drag it down to like -700, and then the next frame after we'll drag it up to +700, and then the last frame right here we'll put it down to 100 once again. As you can see, we're getting more of a jitter right now, and we'll do this one last time. We'll drag it down to -1000, and then +1000, and then back to 100. So this is what we got now. And you can basically pair this look with an exposure effect to get a kind of flash going on as well. So right here for the first frame, I'll keyframe the exposure, and then here when it starts to jitter, we can drag it up to like 1.6, something like this. And then when it goes back to 100, I'll drag it down to 0 right here when it's at 100. So we'll have this flash going on as well. And then I'll just copy this flash and paste it right here as well. So we'll have 2 flashes, and now it looks like this. And just to make it less generic, I'll be turning up the second flash a little bit to like 2.5 instead. So this one will be a little bit brighter, but just make sure that you tune it to your liking. I'm a huge fan of this. So if you want more of these jitter effects, then what I like to do is just copy these effects. Make sure to leave some space in between here so the video can play. And then when it's played, I'll add it in right here at the end. So now we got this going on. We need a little bit more space in between here. So I'll drag these back a little bit, but not too much, just like this. And then you can add in like a flash transition here at the end, and it will look really good. Just to show what it will look like, I'll create a new adjustment layer, open up the VFX kit, which is my new plugin that I dropped last month. And in here we got everything that you need for music video editing. Basically, we got road effects, shakes, transitions, grunge effects, hits, speed ramps, and CRTs. And I'm also working on the new update, which will have this HD and 4K toggle. So you just press this toggle and then all the effects will change to 4K or HD depending on what you're working on. But right here in the transitions tab, we got a bunch of crazy transitions. But if I scroll all the way down, right here we got some basic transitions. As you can see, we got some flash transitions and some blur transitions. So I'll just grab the flash with the blur and then just put it right here in between my clips. So now we got that flash transition, and I'll turn on motion blur as well. But yeah, that's basically it for the first effect. It's a really clean one. But now delete this adjustment layer and I'll hop right into the second effect. The next effect that I'm going to break down is this kind of grunge circle effect that has been seen in a lot of Osama-san's music videos. And to make this effect, I'll start off by creating a new adjustment layer. And to this adjustment layer, I'll add in a tint effect just to get this black and white look. And when we got this in place, we can add on a noise effect. And then we'll drag up the amount of noise to 40. And now we get this kind of grain noise look in our footage. So next, add on a threshold effect. And the threshold level you want to kind of mess with depending on your scene. I'm probably going to keep it like right here in the middle, since that looks best for my scene. And then we can add on another noise effect, but this one we'll keep a little bit lower at like 25. And then I'll add in a mirror effect, and I'll set the reflection center to the middle of my scene. So I just press this icon right here and put it right there. And now we got this mirror look of our subject. So now when he moves, we'll have this crazy look. And then to get that kind of circle look, I'll basically add on a circle effect, and I'll set the blending mode to stencil alpha or wherever it is right here. And that will give us our subject in the middle of the circle. So just bump up the radius to like 500. And then if you want a little bit of a feather, then you just open up the feather tab and then you change the feather outer edge to 25. But I don't really feel like that looks good for my scene, so I'll remove it. But this is basically the second effect. It looks like this. That's horrible. You just gotta change your resolution to full when you play it through. and it will look a lot better. And it looks like that. That's a really cool effect. But yeah, once again, doesn't require any paid plugins. And let's get right into the last one. The next and final effect will be a roto effect. So I'll start off by rotoscoping out my subject. So double click on your layer and grab the roto brush tool. And I'll just go around my subject real quickly like this. And now that I masked out my subject, my mask isn't the best. So what I'll do to clean this up is add on a refined soft matte onto my mask layer. And I'll turn down the additional edge radius to 4 and bump up the feather to something like this. It just helps me clean up the mask a little bit. And then I'll duplicate this layer and grab the background layer and remove every single effect. And we can just quickly name the top layer to subject and the bottom layer to background. And to this background layer, I'll add on a motion tile to start it off. And we'll bump up the output width and height to 500. And then check mirror edges, and right now we can't see any difference, but it will come in a second when we add on the transform effect. And we'll change the skew to 6, and we'll hold the alt button on our keyboard while we press the stopwatch right here on the skew axis. And then we'll get this little expression window, and in here I type out time times 360. And then when we play it through, we'll have this kind of wiggling look on our scene. And then when we play it through, we'll have this kind of wiggling look on our background. And that's basically what we want. So now we can spice this up with a CC vignette, and I'll just bump up the amount to 250 to get these black borders. And then after that, we can add on an add grain effect. We just gotta change our viewing mode to final output. And then I'll turn down the intensity to 0.75. Next up, I'll add on a colorama effect, and we'll open up the output cycle. And in here, I'll be changing the user preset palette to ramp gray. And I'll grab this white one and move it down all the way here. And then just go down to modify and change your modify to HS. And now we got this kind of black and white look going on, so I'll keep it like that. And then I'll add on a glow, just a normal glow. We don't need any paid plugins. And I'll turn up the threshold to 72 and bump up the glow radius to 220. And then we can drag up the intensity a little bit as well, just like this. And then lastly, we can add on a mosaic, or actually not lastly. And we can keyframe the horizontal and vertical blocks and go in like, let's do half a second right here, and we can bump it up to like, let's do 600. You can go even higher if you want. I'll go for 1000 actually, just like that. And then I'll easy ease my keyframes. And now we got this going on. You can mess a little bit with it. I'm probably going to go for something to just drag it out a little bit like that. And then lastly, I have to add on a posterized time just to drag down the frame rate of these effects. So I'll change the frame rate to 12, just half of what we normally have. And that's it for the final effect. We got this as the final result. I'll leave the VFX kit and the rest of my plugins and preset packs linked in the description if you want to go and check it out. I'm sure it will help you elevate your visuals and edit a lot faster. But thank you so much for watching. If you watched this far, if you didn't, thank you anyway. A lot more on the way, a lot already here, and I'll see you in the next one.